Good evening. It being 7 o'clock, and I've been advised by the town clerk that a quorum is present, yay, and the warrant has been properly served. So this special town meeting of town of Plympton is now open. Thank you all for coming out tonight. I know it's really crappy out and nobody wanted to leave their house. With any luck, we'll be out of here before the clock strikes 8. I'm your moderator, Barry DiCristofano, 198 Main Street. Just a quick COVID reminder, masks aren't required, obviously, but please respect anyone who does wear a mask and give them whatever distance they feel they would like to have. Just be conscious of that. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. I'd like to thank the principal, Peter Veneto, and all the custodial staff for setting up everything tonight. So this is a special town meeting. You know, in May, we have an annual which deals with the future fiscal year, and embedded in there, we have a special that deals with things for that fiscal year. So this is a special, and it's dealing with things that we're doing right now in our fiscal year 23 it is. You should all have received a mailed copy of the warrant or picked one up when you checked in, and I hope you've had a chance to look at it. Tonight's meeting is being taped for broadcast by Area 58 Community Access Media. I'm going to wait a moment, and please take a moment to silence your phones and check that they are indeed silenced, please. Thank you. Tonight we have on your right the Board of Selectmen, John Traynor, Mark Russo, Chairperson Christine Joy, our Town Administrator Liz Dennehy, Town Council Greg Corbo, and our Town Clerk Trish Detterman. On the right are your financial people. The FinCom starts with, we have Chairperson Marilyn Brown, Catherine Shepard, Steve Lewis, Mike Lemieux, and our Town Accountant Lisa Hart. You were checked in tonight by our tellers, Nancy Magnuson and Pat Mustakaros. And if we need to do a standing vote for anything, the counters will be Nancy Butler and Jackie Freitas. Our peace officers tonight are Nate Cristofori and Jason Bishop. There are some people here, town officials, that aren't residents of the town, and because of that, we need to give them permission to speak tonight if they're called on to speak or if there's something they need to say. So I will ask that the following 4 people, I'll entertain a motion that the following 4 people will be able to participate tonight if needed. Our Town Administrator, Elizabeth Dennehy, our Town Council, Greg Corbo, our Town Treasurer Collector, Chris Kelly, and our Assistant Assessor, Wendy Jones. I hear a motion. Do I have a second? All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Down hands. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. Are there any other people sitting out there that are not residents of Plympton, that are not in the front row? Excellent. Thank you. Okay, anyone wishing to speak will need to go to the microphones. No more than 2 people may be in a line at any time. And please, when you're done speaking, grab one of those disinfectant wipes and just wipe off the mic. After being recognized by me to speak, please state your name and your full street address, house number and street, before you begin your comment or question, so that we all have a better chance of getting to know one another. Please direct all comments through me, the moderator, and I'll direct them to whoever needs to answer it so that we don't have side conversations going on. It'll keep everything running more smoothly. As usual, article sponsors will have up to 3 minutes to present why they're doing that if they so choose, and anyone speaking from the floor will have a 3-minute window to speak. If you wish to speak a second time on the same article, you'll need to wait till everybody who wants to speak that hasn't spoken yet gets a chance before you do a second time. And if you do want to speak a second time, you need to be bringing something new to the discussion, not just rehashing the point you made before. Again, that'll help us keep pace and do the work we need to do tonight. Any substantial amendments being proposed to the articles must be submitted in writing. And as usual, we've come here as friends and neighbors. We'll leave tonight as neighbors, and let's keep our discussion such that we also leave tonight as friends that we came in as. Thank you. On to Article 1. I'm not going to read this long article. You should have a handout of the motion that is being made to present this article. Because this article is actually, I will wait and let the motion be made before I say any more. Is someone going to make the motion to that article?
Mr. Moderator, I move the article as printed in the motion handout.
Is there a second?
I second.
Okay, before one of the selectmen speak to this article, I just want to point out that because, as you see in the handout, some of the funding for this at first needs to be borrowed. Because of that, it's going to require a 2/3 vote to pass, okay? Does the selectman want to make a 3-minute statement about this?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Mark Russo, 140 Palmer Road. I'm speaking both as a member of the Board of Selectmen and as chair of the Community Preservation Committee. It's actually a great pleasure to speak to this article. Admittedly, the motion's a bit complex. To simplify a little bit, in a nutshell, what the article is asking is authorization for the Board of Selectmen to move forward on purchasing Turkey Swamp. The land would be under the management of the Conservation Commission. It would be used for open space preservation, conservation, and passive recreation. The article authorizes the treasurer to borrow a little over $500,000 short-term until grant money is dispersed. The article also authorizes the use of CPA dollars, donated funds, and a grant from the Municipal Vulnerability Planning Program. So to flesh it out a little bit, the project is sponsored by the Open Space Committee. It involves the purchase of 300 acres of undeveloped land called Turkey Swamp. That's just north of Maple Street, runs all the way from Main Street in the east to almost to Route 58 or Palmer Road and the rest. As typical of municipal land projects like this project has been in the works for several years. The cost of the purchase and associated costs, $718,500. The vast majority of that is the purchase price, the appraised value of the land, $670,000. The rest of it is in various expenses that go along with acquiring that kind of land. Funding would be from 3 sources. The first one is a successful grant from the Municipal Vulnerability Planning Program, a state program. That project, it took years of work, particularly from the Open Space Committee. We were successful in that grant application. There is a 25% match, and that would be made up in 2 ways. One, with the help of Howard Randall to gain entree, we approached the Sheehan Family Charitable Committee and asked them for $116,000, which they gave us, and which we have in hand. And then, in addition, the Open Space Committee applied to the Community Preservation Committee, seeking $100,000 in CPA dollars. What we envision with this project is, well, this land, there will be access to the land. There is a town-owned lot just south of the power lines on Main Street. There's another ring of land just north of that that is in foreclosure, and we suspect to have that available along the way. To be clear, the land will be somewhat limited in its access, lots of wetlands, lots of dense vegetation. Nevertheless, many, many benefits for this project. The permanent preservation of open space, protection of natural resources, particularly wildlife and water supply, and the promotion of climate resilience through flood and erosion control, drought resistance, carbon sequestration. Those are the ones that made the municipal vulnerability planning grant available.
Mr. Russo, how about if, since there are obviously a lot of benefits to this land, and you've listed a lot of the main ones, since in the interest of time, maybe if people have questions about specific parts, you could answer and fill in with some of that other information. Would that be okay, sir?
So may I have one more minute and
Yes.
just sum up that way? This project should protect town resources. Hunting would be allowed. Passive recreation would be allowed along the way and might be developed more over time. The real beauty of this project, small town we are, modest means. We need to be creative when we do projects like this. The net cost to the taxpayers of this town will be $70,000 for 300 acres. It's pretty amazing. Preserves the rural and the agricultural quality of the town, and continues to create a green corridor throughout town. Important quality of life. We're getting a big bang for our dollars out of community preservation. A great project. Mr. Moderator, this is an amazing opportunity for the town to preserve and protect some amazing property. Highly recommend passage of this article.
Thank you, Mr. Russo. So we have the motion for Article 1 made and seconded, and you've heard some of the background of it. Are there any questions or comments to be made on this? I'm told it wasn't seconded. I didn't hear a second. It's been made and seconded, and we've heard an explanation of what it's about. Thanks, Trish. Are there any other questions or comments about this? Seeing no hands, this will require a 2/3 vote because of the need to borrow the money up front before the state kicks in the reimbursement. All those in favor of Article 1 as moved, please raise your right hands. Down hands, opposed? It is unanimous. I thought I was going to have to start the 3-minute timer on the applause you guys are going on so long. Article 2, to see if the town will vote to amend the town's general bylaws to add a new section as set forth below to authorize the treasurer to pursue and establish payment agreements for parcels of land in tax title to allow delinquent taxpayers to pay off their tax liens over time as authorized by Mass General Law, Chapter 60, Section 62A, and to authorize the town clerk to assign the proper chapter and section numbers to said bylaw, consistent with the current numbering system, or take any other action relative thereto. And then it's a very long set of specifications about what the treasurer can and can't do under this system, which I won't read, but if the questions come up about it, we have the treasurer to answer that. Do I hear a motion?
Mr. Moderator, I make a motion that we move the article as printed in the warrant.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Yes.
Mr. Moderator, through you to Town Council, the section that reads, "and further to authorize the town clerk to assign proper chapter and section numbers," currently, our bylaws are codified with general code, and
Yep.
they assign the chapter numbers. So I make a motion,
Okay.
unless Mr. Corba wants to speak to why that's needed in there. I wasn't sure if that was,
Required or
Yes,
not.
thank you, through you, Mr. Moderator.
Yes.
So that language is necessary because the bylaw, as stated in the warrant, does not have a specific numbering convention like the rest of the bylaws that are already on the books. And although your bylaws are codified by general code, it's still the town clerk that is responsible for keeping and establishing the bylaws. And so even though it may be general code that actually decides what the number is, it's going through you as the town clerk.
Thank you, Mr. Corbo.
Are there any other comments or questions? Seeing no hands, time to vote. This is a simple majority. Everyone in favor of Article 2, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed. Majority. Article 3, to see if the town will vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $21,000 to the unemployment line, budget line 30, in the fiscal year 2023 budget, as voted pursuant to Article 4 at the May 18, 2022 annual town meeting, or take any other action relative thereto.
Mr. Moderator, I move that we move the article as printed in the warrant.
I'll second.
Article 3 has been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Seeing no hands. Simple majority. All those in favor of Article 3, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed? Unanimous. Article 4. I won't read the whole thing, I'll just read the beginning. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to petition the Massachusetts General Court for special legislation, as set forth below, to exempt Stephen Silva from Section 91 of Chapter 32 of the General Laws, so that the Board of Selectmen can continue his appointment to the position of Fire Chief until age 70, provided, however, that the General Court may make clerical or editorial changes of form only to the bill, unless the Board of Selectmen approve amendments to the bill before enactment by the General Court, and provided further that the Board of Selectmen is hereby authorized to approve amendments which shall be within the scope of the general objectives of this petition, or take any other action relative thereto. And then it goes on to state the petition. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, Christine Joy, 10 Dukesbrook Road. I move to pass over the article.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to pass over this article. Any comments or questions about this? Seeing no hands. Again, simple majority. All in favor of passing over Article 4, please raise your right hand. Down hands, opposed. Majority. Passes. Article 5. To see if the town will vote to amend the Wage and Personnel Bylaw, Section 11, sick leave, by striking subsection C in its entirety and by editing subsection G to read as follows. G, unused sick leave shall be credited and shall accumulate from year to year without limit. Unused sick leave is not eligible for payout in the event of an employee's separation from the town for any reason, or take any other action relative thereto. Do I have a motion?
Mr. Moderator, Alan Wheelock, 10 Center Street, Chairman, Wage and Personnel Advisory Board. I move the article as printed in the warrant, but deleting the words "without limit" and adding the words "up to 50 days."
Up to 50 days. Yes, okay. Okay, so I think what I would like to do is move the article, and then we'll take your motion to amend the article.
Okay.
Okay. All right, I see what you're doing. You're making the motion to amend it right up front. Okay, can you put that in writing, please, for the town clerk, Alan? Okay, so when we have motions that are changing language like this, we like to have it written. Okay, so is that work for you, Town Council?
Yeah, he just asked him.
All right, can we move on for now? Okay. Okay. I'm sorry? Clarify what? Is there a question, Ms. Brown?
Yes, Marilyn Brown, Finance Committee. Could
Oh,
I,
could you please use the microphone so everyone can hear you?
Marilyn Brown, Finance Committee, 46 Elm Street. Could you please clarify that? 50 days where in this article?
Okay, so if we pass this with the modified motion, it'll say, unused sick leave shall be credited and shall accumulate from year to year up to 50 days limit. Unused sick leave is not eligible for payout in the event of an employee's separation from the town for any reason.
Thank you.
Yes? Ms.
Could I ask what it's being Lisa Hart, 7 Maria Lane Drive. Could I ask what it's being modified from? It's hard to vote if you want. How's it being changed?
I can take that, Mr. Moderator.
Okay, our town administrator can answer that. Yes.
So when we revised the wage and personnel bylaw for the last town meeting, a couple clauses from the template that we utilized inadvertently made it into the final version of the current bylaw. So this article and the motion that Mr. Wheelock made will correct this issue, and it will restore the sick leave section back to the terms that were previously in existence. So this article and the motion made by Mr. Wheelock do not change or take away benefits from any town employees. It's simply a housekeeping type article to correct a clerical error.
Thank you.
We didn't open it for discussion yet. We didn't open it for discussion yet, did we?
Is there any discussion?
Yes or no? Yes. Just Steve Silva, 24 Pope's Farm. Just a point of clarification. It's going to sound silly, but what's a day? What is a day? My people work 24-hour shifts. Is that a day? Is it an 8-hour day? Do we need to clarify that or not? And it's a question for the board or whomever drafted this.
Who would like to take that one?
We typically break that down. We work with the treasurer's office on that. So it would be the same system that your employees use for accrued time off, like vacation time, any other type of paid leave.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Who knew there'd be so much on that one and we spend $700,000 like that? All in favor of Article... Yes.
I'll second the motion.
Oh, I thought it was second. Thank you. Keep me honest. No, because the motion was made as an amended motion. Good on that. All those in favor of Article 5 as moved, please raise your right hand. Down hands. Opposed? Unanimous. Article 6, to see if the town will vote to transfer from available overlay surplus fund the sum of $100,000 for the purpose of reducing the fiscal 2023 interim tax rate or take any other action relative thereto.
Good evening, Mr. Moderator. Ethan Stiles, 85 West Street, Plympton. I move to amend Article 6 to add the words "up to" before the figure $100,000 and have the motion be voted upon as otherwise printed in the warrant.
So I have a motion to amend what is written in your warrant so that it reads, take from available overlay surplus fund the sum of up to $100,000 for the purpose of reducing the fiscal 2023 interim tax rate. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Motion's been made and second. Yes. We need a motion on the original one first, right? That's what I thought. All right, may I first have a motion on the original article as written?
So moved.
And a second. Article as written is made and seconded. Is moved and seconded. Mr. Stiles has now, before we take that up, a vote on that, Mr. Stiles has moved a motion to modify it to add the words up to 100,000. And has that been seconded?
I'll second the motion.
That has been made and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Moderator. The reason for this article is to provide, to the extent necessary, property tax relief due to the due to the increase in home sales for fiscal 2021. Due to essentially we had a spike in home sales. That means that everybody will probably see an increase on their tax bills as values rise. So this measure has been designed to mitigate some of the costs by reducing the valuation per thousand, and hopefully alleviate some of the burden that might otherwise come with the tax rate that would otherwise have to be imposed to pay for town government. So we have, and the reason why I say up to $100,000 as opposed to $100,000 is that does give the town the flexibility to appropriate a lesser amount from overlay surplus to meet the targets that we're seeking and which are still in the progress of being determined.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other comments or questions about this? Okay, so we'll need two votes. First, we're going to need to vote on the amendment to the article to add the words "up to" in front of $100,000. All in favor of the motion to amend Article 6, please raise your right hand. Down hands. Opposed? Okay, now we'll need to vote on the main article itself. All those in favor of the main article as modified, please raise your right hand. Down hands. Opposed? Both votes unanimous. Article 7, to see if the town will vote to raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds a sum of money for the repair and/or replacement of the roof on the old townhouse, including all necessary work and improvements related thereto, or take any other action relative thereto.
John Wilhelmsen, 255 Main Street, and the chair of the Town Properties Committee. I move that the town vote to transfer from free cash the sum of $100,000 for the purposes set forth in the article as printed in the warrant.
So I have a motion and a second for Article 7. And the motion specifies the sum of $100,000. Any comments?
Mr. Moderator, thank you. The purpose of this article, we currently have a rather leaky roof in the old townhouse. We've done a full roof study on that, and based on that study, this amount of money will go towards doing a full replacement of the roof and repairing the damage that has been done due to the leaking and damage of insulation and plaster and so on and so forth.
Thank you. Any questions about this? Comments? Seeing no hands, again, this is a simple majority. All in favor of Article 7, please raise your right hand. Down hand. Opposed? Unanimous. That's all the business we have. I have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's close enough. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming out.